they are not serious. Because, again, it is not only a matter of India and China having trade route. That's a very small thing. The whole bloc in India is holding the whole area. That's the main issue. This is a really good opportunity for Nepal to impress upon India. Let our Prime Minister Oli talk with the Indian Prime Minister Modi. Say, hey, let's solve this problem.
Research Associate Dr. Tilak Shrestha sir. Welcome to the Gorkha Spirit.
Thank you very much. Namaste, Namaskar, Jodlapa, Tashi Delik, Shevaro, Sekua, and all that.
So, what's your opinion about India-China's agreement on Nepalese territory, Lipu Lake route?
I really hope that it did not have to do like this. Looks like both China and India kind of like ignored Nepal, even though they both know that that part belongs to Nepal, and they should have done some sort of, including us also. Especially the problem is between Nepal and India. It's not the problem between Nepal and China. So we have to sort of like exclude China out of it. Even though when they signed, they did not bother to inform Nepal. So anyway, this issue is between Nepal and India, not between Nepal and China. So let's put in that perspective. In my opinion, that territory belongs to Nepal. So that's beyond the question. So it is our weakness that we are not able to impress upon India that why they are doing that. So I would rather ask our own politicians, like say the foreign minister and all that why they have not done the homework so far. And so that's what I think.
So it's our weakness.
Yes.
They just did agreement, yes?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it is our weakness that we are not able to impress upon India that Kalapani area belongs to Nepal. So India is simply assuming that their territory, and that's what they are doing it. And since India is doing it, China is simply following along, and they are simply adding to the trade, the route, right? So I would rather keep it in China out, and I would rather blame our own politicians and our foreign minister and officers that why they have not done homework long before, not yesterday, not day for yesterday, long before, to impress upon India to how to deal with this issue. So this was done long time back.
So what's your suggestions to deal in this issue with India and China?
Let me again exclude China out of it. So let me put only with India. In my opinion, the Nepalese government should talk to India, say diplomatically. Hey guys, that territory belongs to Nepal. So why are you not listening to us? So what the Nepal government should do, I'm talking about diplomatically and nicely and peacefully, that please check it out that you are occupying our territory, right? And so they should invite Indian government or the relevant officers to talk to Nepal and say, so right now they have issued the statement that that territory actually belongs to India, right? So in that case, we have to say, okay, let's come and sit down at the table and see what evidences and proofs you have and what evidence and proofs we have. So put them together and see what actually belongs to, right? And if they could agree, then that's great. If doesn't agree, then perhaps we can go to international court or some other agencies which deal with these kinds of issues between different government, right?
India repeatedly just like avoid discussion talks with Nepal. So what are the reason behind this?
No, I mean for them, just ignore it and keep on occupying it. In that case scenario, India will do that because they are occupying the site. Now, it is our weakness that we are not able to invite Indian government to sit down and talk on the table. Now, suppose you have to give some time. I mean, you cannot say come right away. And if they ignore after a certain time, then the second logical process or the step would be to go to international some kind of court. I'm sure United Nations have some sort of agencies to deal with this kind of issues between different two countries, right? Because it's not the only matter between India and Nepal. It's between India and China, and there are so many different countries that have the same kind of problem. So I would imagine that there must be some agencies which will deal with these kinds of problems. So what we have to do is, we'll present our evidence and our logic and what happened in historical records, and let India also put forward. So put them to a table and see what actually is the matter. Thank you.
Our foreign ministry claimed that they sent press notes to India and China, but we cannot see this that statement, that press notes in the in that websites of the foreign ministry. So why they just do you think they sent the diplomatic notes to India and China?
No, I cannot say what they have done, but it is really unfortunate that if they have done that, it is a matter of public issue. It is not a private issue, right? So they should put in the website. Also, even if a reporter goes to the Minister of, the Foreign Affairs, then they should provide the whole information. More than that, this issue is not, it came yesterday. It has been there for decades, right? So our question would be, why, what Minister of Finance, these foreign ministers have done so far, in what date, what issue was done, in what date they have invited Indian diplomats, and what kind of talks have been done, and then we'll have to check out that which prime minister and which foreign ministers were active or not active, and if they are not active, then they have to explain why they are not active. But this is not a small issue. When a chunk of our own national land is grabbed by some other country, you cannot trivialize it. You cannot say, hey, this is small minor. No, it is not minor issue. So whatever the case may be, we have to figure out which prime ministers and which foreign ministers, and as well as which secretaries of the ministries are responsible of not doing anything. And if they have done something, then they have to present, okay, what we have done, this, and what's the result. Now, if you have invited Indian government many times over, and if they ignore, then the logic step will be to go to the international level agencies and they put our case front. If they come, then we sit down and talk.
So India and China, they signed in the agreement to use that route for trade link, but our government couldn't give pressure to India, or they couldn't convince them to sit in the dialogue. So do you think our government is serious in this issue?
I am sorry to say, looks like, I don't know all the details inside, but looks like they are not serious. Because, again, it is not only a matter of India and China having trade route. That's a very small thing. The whole block is where India is holding the whole area. That's the main issue. Now, this is not today's issue. It's been there for decades and decades, right? In that case, our prime ministers, Oli, Doba, all others prime ministers have been to Indian invitation there. They have met Indian prime ministers. Then why don't they talk about this thing, right? And also I can understand that when the two prime ministers meet, they may not talk about this. But you have to make ground. That means our ministries or our officers should talk to Indian officers and they build up case, and they grow up and they go to the ministers, and they will decide what to do. And when the prime minister go over there, they don't discuss. They simply go and they sign the paper with a big, fanfare with the cameras rolling. So their job is to sign. But issue is not that. Issue is what job and the work has been done, what groundwork has been done. If you have not done, then who is responsible, right? Who is the prime minister responsible? Who is foreign minister responsible? Who is officers in the foreign ministry is responsible? So we have to figure out those individuals. So we are not talking about overall general government. No, that is not good enough. You have to figure out which officer, which minister, what they have done or they did not do it.
So what's your suggestions to solve this issue as a point-wise? What's your suggestions?
Well, there are two parts of it, in my opinion. First, you have to invite Indian government to let's sit down and talk, right? We want everything peaceful, nice solution. So we are neighboring countries, we have the same civilization, we are both the same religion, all that. So there should be no friction. But you cannot trivialize this issue. This is a major, major issue for Nepal. We're talking about our own sovereignty and our own land. So that is not can be ignored, all right? Now, if Indian government comes and talk, then that's great. We can sit at the table, put our views and our facts and the ones, and they do that and say how it works out, right? If they don't want to talk at all, in that case, we have no option but then to go to international level. As simple as that. Also, let me also say one more thing, that it is just my pure opinion. I mean, nothing to do with, I'm not a spokesman for Nepal. One thing what we can work out is that, okay, the Nepal, the India would recognize that territory as Nepali territory, but then they have lots of things going on over there. So we can say, okay, Nepal will lease out our territory to India for say 25 years, right, for so and so compensation. And so it is okay, we'll lease for 25 years and we'll provide so much compensation for this one, and after 25 years, then it will go back to, revert back to Nepalese the one. I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just saying those kinds of deal can be worked out, but outright denying that it is not Nepalese territory is not acceptable. And if India does not want to talk, then we have no choice but to go to international level. I mean, there are some agencies under United Nations, I don't know exactly which one. If they talk, then that's great. We can sit down and give our informations and the views and let them also, and let's sit down talk together, right?
These are your suggestions.
My suggestions. Now let me briefly give back to what was problem. We had a war with British Empire in like 1814 AD, and in the 1816 AD we had the so-called the Sugauli Treaty, and in that treaty, actually the whole Mahakali River belongs to Nepal. Wholly. So we cannot claim the west from the Mahakali River. That was the understanding. Normally, however, normally the midline of rivers is usually given as the border between two countries. But however, we have to claim in the whole river. So I will suggest, it's just only my personal suggestion, since we agree as international law, I mean norm of the central line, then India should give us some sort of compensation for leaving out the part of the Nepali territory. So that can be like a water or the dam or some other industry, whatever case may be. That is a separate issue altogether. And then when it went up to the northwest of the one, it's a twist back and goes to the Olympia Thura. The Mahakali River starts from Olympia Thura. And now, at the time of British time also, some British officers say, oh no, we done one small mistake. That part, that small piece, the Kalapani area is kind of like a strategically important. We should not have given to Nepal. That was the view. But that part belongs to Nepal, and we have administered that place. We have done census of people over there. We also have taken the so-called Malpur land revenue, all that. So this is a good record of that. So British thought it would have been nice if they had kept for themselves, but did not force that one. So never stayed with that. And later on, in 1962 AD, when there was a war between India and China, the Indian thought about the security, and they put like what, almost 16, 17 military points in the northern border, one over here also, in Kalapani also. And later on, King Mahendra, after the war and all that, when peace settled, so he was able to remove all those Indian military posts outside. However, that point was not given because the then Prime Minister Nehru, he requested King Mahendra to let that happen for some more time because that's a strategic important point. And so the King Mahendra agreed. That's what I know of. But it was not giving our land off, no. It was simply a matter of temporary Indian government using that area as a strategic point. Now, why the strategic point? Because there are two things. Number one, the route to the Kailash Mansarovar goes from that point. And also, if China wants to attack Delhi, the India, then that's the route, the easiest route. However, those are simply a strategic thinking. It is not about the dispute between Nepal and India. That territory belongs to Nepal, there is no doubt about that. So that's what we have to put forward. And so we have to understand the Indian view, but they also have to understand our view, that territory belongs to Nepal, And if India feels they're threatening about security, then we'll figure out how to deal with that, right? And also, these days the army don't rush with the guns and the swords. These days the missiles and fighter plane. Who cares about a small piece of land, right? And so my suggestion is, those kinds of security concerns we have to deal with that one, but it does not mean that we have to give the territory to India. That's not acceptable. And then, of course, as I said before, perhaps we can lease out that land for a certain time. After a certain time, that revert to Nepal back in. Thank you.
Our Prime Minister is going to visit India and China very soon. So, what should be his steps in this scenario?
This is a really good opportunity for Nepal to impress upon India. Let our Prime Minister Oli talk with the Indian Prime Minister Modi, say, hey, let's solve this problem, right? And what I really suggest, we still have a few more weeks to go, right? So let our foreign minister be very active right now. Invite Indian diplomats. Let us sit down. What can we work out of it, right? If possible, if it works out, then let this case be solved right now when our Oli ji is with the Modi ji. So let them sign a big protocol, make a big time like camera, all that stunt wise, right? So we still have a few more weeks to go, and I really hope so. Now, if Oli does not do anything like this, if Oli does not mention about this Kalapani area to Prime Minister Modi, right? If there is no understanding, then we will hold responsible Oli, not the Modi, Oli, for not doing his duty. And he has no business being Prime Minister. He should quit, resign immediately.
So, some of the analysts, Nepalese analysts, suggest PM Oli through virtual media, social media, that Prime Minister should stop the upcoming visits of India and China. Do you think this is the good way to deal with India and China in this case?
Well, I don't know much about diplomacy, but in my opinion, not like that. Number one, we should go both India and China. Number one. Number two, in this problem, we should exclude China out, as I said before. There's nothing to do with the Chinese part of it. Third, when we go to Oli ji goes to India to meet the Prime Minister Modi, usually the agendas are already fixed. They don't just sit down and talk like we do, right? So in that agenda, one of the prime agenda must be this Kalapani area. If Indian side, Indian diplomat does not want to do that, then Oli should not go. And let me put again. Usually when the two primes meets, it's not just having tea, right? So they will have agenda to discuss about. In that case, this Kalapani agenda must be one of the major agenda to put between. And even before that, they should do homework right now, along with Indian diplomats, to what to do, right? If Indian diplomat doesn't want to talk about this, doesn't want to have the, then Oli should not go. Simple as that. But let me also give you one quick reference. Earlier, when our King Brandra or King Minor goes to India, they were, honorably received. When our president, what's her name, Bandariju, when she was a Rashtrapati, his president, when she went to India, she was received by one small assistant minister, some crazy looking girl. Let me repeat the word.
Current,
one small
current president
crazy,
is...
no, wait, crazy looking girl received her. This is insult. If I was Pandari, I would have come back from the airport itself. We will not tolerate that. Thank you.
Our current president is Ramchandra Paudel. So, what should be his steps in such case?
No. This is really a political issue, and he should talk about peace and friendship and Buddha and peace and friendship. That's what he should talk to, and then add that the friendship is a friendship about India-Nepal friendship for long historical one, and then he should also add it should be justice, it should be nyaya, it should be truth, satya, and the nyaya, truth and justice. So he should harp on those concepts, but not the political issues. The political issues must be taken by the government. That's the prime minister only, not the one.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for joining with us.
Namaskar, namaste, Jodlapa, Tasi Delik, Sherowa, Shekowa, and all that.